Elon Musk has long been a polarizing figure, but today what we have to talk about, the elephant in the room, too big to ignore. I don't like to get into politics, but at some point the roars become impossible to ignore. We're talking about brand damage and how real it is, how important it is, and whether there's anything we can do about it, or if we even need to. I am joined, to his dismay, by Mark, who remains at an undisclosed location. The negotiations for his release are ongoing, and I'm Brian. Welcome to Futurasa. Mark, bad news. We cannot raise the funds to get you out.
It's going to be another week. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, another week. So unfortunately, that's just how it works. We'll see if we can get a poster up or something behind you. What we'll do is send a map of the world, and you can put a pin on it so we know where to find you. So that's going to help a little bit. All levity aside, we've heard the recent headlines that Elon Musk is causing brand damage. And I don't like to tread into these waters because oftentimes half the viewers will despise whatever you have to say. And if you try to be balanced, then everyone gets mad. But this is real. This is happening. This is something that we should address. So I will start by showing this. Support me. No, that's the wrong slide, but that's okay. I will go on to show this guy right here. Tesla's brand value nosedives as politics and the aging lineup hit reputation. Now, I would argue that the aging lineup is a secondary issue because the Model 3 is pretty fresh. The Model Y is extremely fresh. And if you're calling the Cybertruck dated, I don't know what to tell you. The S and X were refreshed, but they were not very refreshing. So that's a different matter. And we do expect a new vehicle or two of some sort this year to come out based on the 3 and or Y.
Right.
So I think that part of it. But what this is talking about is the perception of the value of the brand. This does not impact the stock. This does not impact the sales. This is just the brand. I would argue that if you're Coca-Cola, the value of your brand is the value of your company. But if you are Caterpillar or John Deere or Hyundai Industrial, I would argue that the value of your company is your sales.
Yep, that'd be fair.
So that part I'm less worried about. If we're going to look at the stock, we should, oh no, look at all that red. Guys, year to date, down 6%. That's not a tremendous drop. If you want to go a little bigger, we can say, let's look at a 1 year picture. I mean, you're up 82%. If you want to look at it just since June, was it July when the Elon came out full-throated for Elon, we saw it immediately dipped down 25%. Still down a bit, but since the election, up 40%. So I would say in sum, the stock has not suffered particularly. What are your thoughts on that? Should we worry about that?
I don't think you need to worry about the stock at this point. Like I said, the election seemed to rocket the Tesla stock into the stratosphere, and people were betting heavy on futures that Tesla was going to do well because of influence within the administration. And that still holds true at this point. It could change, but right now, if you bought your stock 6 or 12 months ago, I think you're pretty happy with it.
I would agree with all of that. There is this bit here. Sell your Tesla, dump your stock. Tesla protests Musk's tanking popularity, hit EV makers at a bad time. This is more of the same, the controversial things. So what we're looking at here is, protesters. There are people who firmly believe that what Elon is doing with the government is real and critical and essential, and others who argue that it is illegal and overly hasty and unnecessary. But what I see a lot of on both sides is people who don't necessarily understand what the programs are. They just like seeing numbers or don't like seeing numbers. It is inarguably an unusual time historically. I'm not aware of a time when someone outside of the government had this much power to access government files and systems, let alone enact broad sweeping changes. And I can see why people would be upset with that. That is a big deal. And really, we should talk about the hand salute, because whatever you wish to call it, it is. There are people who say it was a Nazi salute. There are people who say it was definitely not a Nazi salute. But if you call it a Nazi-like salute, it absolutely was that. It was very similar to the ones that are famous for just that. That hand gesture has meant precisely one thing for 80 years. And if you don't believe me, do it on your channel and let me know how it goes. Because the people who are eager to defend him are not as eager to replicate the behavior. If it was a mistake, which I like to believe is the case, the correct thing to do would be to immediately denounce it and apologize. Apologize to the people you may have offended, whatever that may be. And then instead he chose to double down and insult the people. How dare you get offended at the thing I did? So I think that has not diminished the perception that it was the wrong move.
Yeah, as you said, if you start offending a large number of people because of your action, it makes sense to denounce it immediately. Get in front of it. And like you said, doubling down really doesn't help the people that are already offended. In fact, it probably calls more of them to arms.
I once said that that the reason we don't like American agriculture, or the reason American agriculture is popular over agriculture in other countries, is because humans are greasy. We're mammals, and that it's, monkey paws, because we're primates, on agricultural products diminishes their value. It makes them harder to dye. You end up with cigarette butts and trash and oils on the agricultural products. You don't want that. And someone told me that that's deeply offensive. And I said, what? They said, don't you know that there was a time in the South when African Americans were referred to as monkeys? And I said, I didn't know that. I'm too far west and too far north. And I was not talking about black people. I was talking about agricultural workers, humans in the United States. I'm not aware of the racial demographics of all the farm workers. But I apologize because I was wrong. I wasn't aware that that was a sensitivity to be on the lookout for. But if it is a sensitivity, then it is, then I owe an apology. I can't, I can't know everything.
No, you can't know everything. And you're going to get alerted from others every once in a while, because your knowledge is not the world's knowledge. You're learning
Yes.
every day, just like all of us.
Yes. Yes. And it's impossible to keep up with the countless flavors of racism and sensitivity to racism that exist. But if I make a mistake, by all means, let me know. It is not malicious, is what I wish to convey. That was not hard to do. Apologizing is not hard in that situation. It doesn't help that the programs he's targeting under the guise of, he's saying that they're fraud. They're not fraud. They were duly funded by whichever agency is responsible. I assume that would be Congress. He just doesn't like them because they have diversity, equity, and inclusion in the titles. And I don't know if I'm supposed to be mad about diversity, or if I'm supposed to be mad about equity, or if I'm supposed to be mad about inclusion. But all of those seem like reasonable things on their own. Feels like we're demonizing a word that doesn't necessarily need to be demonized. And there's no way that you're going to root out $55 billion in fraud in a couple weeks with 0 forensic accountants on staff. You're taking a hatchet. In terms of brand value erosion, I was recently at Platt Auto, and this is showing just the Teslas they have in stock. $28,000 for a 2021 Model Y, There are even newer ones that are, I mean, also cheap. 2021 with only 38,000 miles on it for $24,000 for Model 3. These are bargains. And there are people who are trading in their cars. And that's great for the secondary market. It doesn't hurt Tesla that a used car changes hands more frequently, but some of these low values are concerning. I did see a 2023 that they had in stock that was 31,000, and that I have a 2023 that tells me my trade-in value is very, very low. So that's a potential problem.
Yep.
Sales are down. Now we know if we look at the broader picture, if we zoom out, I did a whole video on sales being down, but this is all China sales. Look at how much it came down. And well, it wasn't down that bad in January of last year. Well, no, but Chinese New Year came in January of this year instead of February of last year. It's much better than February of last year. Tesla is down. Some automakers are not down as much. Some are even up a little. But Xiaomi being up over last year doesn't say much because they had just entered production. So the
We'll
trend in
notice that
Europe,
the top three that you have shown, there is still a trajectory up. There are some bumps in the road, but it's still on an upward swing.
yes. And I would say in Europe, the downward sales trend is stronger, especially in markets like Germany, where in the end of 2023, the EV credit was erased.
Yeah.
It was concluded. So I don't think I stand by the statement that it is too soon to say if Tesla sales are actually down. We do have the new model coming out in a matter of days at this point, and it will give us a clearer picture by the end of the quarter. And certainly by the end of Q2, the people howling from the rooftops that sales are definitely down and it's because of Elon are making two very big assumptions that are premature. That's why you are not seeing serious prognosticators sharing their conclusion. The people who actually study the data, like me and others like me, are not saying this is the end of the road because the data doesn't support that. I will say that on a sentiment front, I've had a number of my supporters who are no longer supporters, who've been with me for years, who have said, I love you. I can't do it anymore. And some of them have even asked to have their name removed from the credits. And that is unfortunate. These are the diehard fans. There's an argument, and I'd like to hear your take, that for every fan Tesla loses from the left, there's a new fan on the right. What do you think of that possibility?
I think that's a possibility. Again, you've got a polarizing group of people in the United States at this time, has been for quite some time now. And there are swings to the left and to the right. And is it a case of some leave, but you're gaining others from the other side? I think I don't see any data that shows that either way, to be official, but it definitely could be going on. I'm outside of the bubble. I'm looking from the outside in. I'm seeing this polarizing difference. I'm seeing 50%, 50% is going back and forth. So as far as I can tell, it may be true that they're gaining some from the one side while losing some from the other.
I have seen a number of anecdotes that say I'm conservative or my brother's conservative and he finally bought a Tesla because now he likes Elon. But like you, I have not seen it show up in the data. The problem becomes the places that are overwhelmingly Republican leaning in terms of their precinct level votes are the places with the fewest superchargers and public fast chargers because there's no EVs there. And it's a chicken and egg problem. I don't know how you do one before the other, but you have to at some point. And so that's one problem. I was talking with a gentleman who was saying that he thinks that it's the extremes, and you're going to have extremes. You'll never change these people's mind, and you'll never change these people's minds. It's everyone in the middle who's going to make the decision. And I would agree with that, except that right in the bottom of the middle is the coin toss. And there are people who don't know that Tesla's a better car than, say, a Toyota BZ4X. If you don't know it's a better car, you can't make a qualified decision. To you, it is a coin toss. And if you dislike the company or something the company does, you lose the coin toss.
Yeah.
And that is more my concern, is that all the coin tosses will now be lost.
And that certainly could tilt the scale if that was to
Certainly
happen.
could tilt the scale. And then we've got the Tesla Owners Club directory. Isn't this great? Tesla doesn't even keep their page updated. But that is representative of how Tesla feels about the owners clubs. They used to have a liaison, and they fired that person, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago, and replaced them with, as far as I can tell, a lava lamp. There is no real feedback. There is someone now who's kind of in charge of it, but not really, and doing a job to match because they've got other everyday responsibilities. I've heard from at least one owners club president who has said that they are losing members. These are people who are advocates for Tesla, who are big fans, who are willing to pay an annual subscription to be part of a club that has like-minded people in it.
Yeah.
Who have said to the club, I can't do it anymore. I'm out. I think, anytime you go political, you're going to, any politics at all, you're going to lose some support.
We've also seen those stories of people being harassed now. We've seen stories of vehicles being damaged. But again, is that on the outside? Is that far extremes going on? Certainly it picks up news coverage, but
It does.
Is it something that is hurting the brand overall, or is this the start of it?
So that won't make me sell my car, and that certainly won't make someone buy a car. But the coin tossers in the middle, I think it's those people who will say, well, even though it's got Sentry mode, I don't want to get vandalized. Yeah. And even in our Northwest group, there was a gentleman saying, we were considering going down to Portland for the weekend. We're not going to because we would want to drive the Cybertruck, and we're not comfortable leaving it unattended in Portland. Now, I don't know if that concern is valid, but it is their concern. Portland lost that coin toss through no fault of its own. But that's another example of changing behaviors. So that's unfortunate. And on that, I did see a story reported that contractors lost $70,000 of business because he had a Cybertruck. And I was going to show it, but it's from a non-credible source, and no other outlets are reporting it. I assume it is nonsense. I assume it is untrue. So if you have seen that one, question the source. And if you see it in more than one place, determine if it all leads back to the same source, because it sounds like a story that's pretty outrageous. I would need to see credibility to take a story like that at face value. Mm-hmm. But if other people are seeing that story and they are taking it at face value, they will be less likely to purchase it as a work truck. If a contractor believes they are going to lose business for the truck they drive, they will probably not buy it. Or they're terrible at business.
Well, that's part of the reason why they might have chose to purchase it, because they thought it would gain business for them. So yes, you're right. If the coin toss is, I'm seeing too many negative stories, I'm seeing too many people being harassed, why would I do that?
Yes. And then we've got stories like this. Insiders at Tesla concerned that Musk's madness is damaging the company, saying it would be better if he just resigned. He seems to have ghosted his own company. And this is according to a new reporting from the Washington Post. Oh, but the Washington Post is biased. They're anti-Elon. They hate him. Right. Isn't the Washington Post the one who just declined a $120,000 full-page ad that says "Fire Musk"? Oh, so we can't have it both ways. Is the Washington Post biased against him, or is it biased in his favor? It can't be both. And you could argue it's different departments, but I don't know what to tell you. The Washington Post, for all their flaws, does conduct traditional journalism where they validate their sources and cite, and everything they print is, despite sometimes being misleading, entirely legally defensible. And because they would be sued immediately if it wasn't. So it's it suggests that there is frustration within the company. Um, and this is a bad story that's being dumb. Elon Musk's brother unloads Tesla stock at a key juncture. No, he didn't. He sells at regular intervals every 3 to 6 months. I don't remember. We've covered it before, but I have talked with money managers, people who are financial planners on the behalf of others, who have said that they have had clients, real, reasonable people that they know personally, who have said, I'm out. Now, clearly, because the stock has only dipped 6%, that only reflects a small percentage of the investors. But these are people who've been in for a long time who are saying, I'm simply done. I can't take it. And for that matter, I talked with a channel from the UK who said he no longer attends EV events because the hostility towards Tesla is too universal. Everyone is just off their rockers. And I would suggest if everyone is crazy, maybe it's not them. Maybe it's us. Maybe we're the crazy ones.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's, he had some more pointed language that I don't think is helpful to the discussion, but it is real and it is happening. The story that you had mentioned was this one. This turns out to not be relevant. It is miscaptioned. This particular one was unrelated. It was just someone who went around spray painting cars like a year or two ago. It's I think 2 years old. Yeah, November of 23, published as part of a story about a series of vandalism attacks in Vienna. So that's not it, but this one is. This is a guy caught on Sentry mode, spray painting the word Nazi on the hood of a Tesla. That's not good. That's not good. And that is Portland. So maybe the fears about traveling to Portland in a Tesla, not as unfounded as I may have guessed. It's unfortunate, but do we want to upset everyone? Are we okay with upsetting everyone for no gain? I'm going to say no gain at all.
It's the wrong way to do it. If that's your goal, to upset everyone, I think you've got to walk a middle line. I with the polarization we have out there, I don't think that you can offend either side. You have to equally offend sides, but then you're getting the worst of both sides. So it's troublesome doing this, and I think if it's being done intentionally, I think it's the wrong game to play.
I would agree. There are people who are saying, yes, but he's saving free speech. He's saving America. He's saving the world. On the free speech front, he has replatformed a number of people who felt that their voices were censored. But X has also complied with more government takedown requests than Twitter ever did. So I don't know how that jives with free speech. He's also been less than free speechy to a number of people on the platform. And it's concerning. It should concern you. That's not free speech under any definition that I'm familiar with. And it's troubling to me as someone who has worked in journalism to see some of the things that happen. And he is himself engaged in behavior that has gotten other people banned under his watch. So I can't support any of that. And as far as saving the country, there are a lot of people who do not agree with that assessment, who feel that he is damaging the country. People who have voted a particular way, believing that the move would be good for them, only to find that they are now out of a job, that they are the subject of Doge, and in a position that is, we're slashing so much so quickly. There is no way on earth all of those cuts are right or good. It is too much too quickly by people who do not have relevant experience in what they are working on. And it is very concerning to a lot of people. And the idea that we're just going to forfeit all of our soft power to other countries is something that would make the works of the previous 80, 100 years, the people who put these mechanisms in place, very upset. So with that said, I don't think we have the time or the power to meaningfully segue into questions from last week. We will double those up on the semi video when that comes out. Any other thoughts on brand damage? Because what I'd like to hear in the comments is, and by the way, keep the comments civil because they will be heavily moderated because I'm not here for nonsense. I'm trying to address the business aspect and how it pertains to brand damage, which we can no longer pretend isn't there. We can see it. We know people personally in real life who are definitely not robots that share these beliefs. And if they're wrong, so be it. But dumb people have money. Dumb people buy things too. There are entire companies who only survive because dumb people have money. Those are important. That's an important demographic. Did you have any closing thoughts on that?
It would be interesting what the audience feels about this. Is Elon causing brand damage? And what do you cite for your reasoning? It would be interesting to see that in the comments. And again, let's keep this civil. We'd like to hear from both sides. We want to see what you're pointing at for your opinion.
Yes, the pointing at is the important part because I know people say, "Well, I feel that it's gotten better." Feelings are not data unless there's a study weighing all of it.
So feel free to put a link in to what you have read or understood and link it in because it's going to help the other people reading the comments too.
Yes, or at least give us enough information that we can look it up. Yeah. So, guys, I hope this hasn't offended too many of you. I hope I'm confident not many will unsubscribe. And if you unsubscribe because of this, maybe this wasn't the right channel. I don't do the cult stuff. I don't drink the Kool-Aid. I don't engage in it. And I know that has hurt me professionally because there's good money in just hype. But you have to ignore that and focus on the reality, or what you're getting is an incomplete picture. I think it was Benjamin Franklin who said, before you're married, keep your eyes wide open. Thereafter, half shut. Well, in investing, every day is a decision to remain married to the stock. And I say, keep your eyes all the way open all the time. What did we miss? What did we misunderstand? Leave it in them comments below. Head over to the Tesla Life. See what Mark, Patrick, and Casey are up to. And stay tuned, stay juicy. I cannot wait to hear from you clever robots when I'm sure you will respond in a calm and rational way.